I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, does size matter when it comes to cruising? Well, this is our Windstar Star Legend review. Hi, it's Linz from Sweet Natured. As always, I'm joined by Marky.
Hello.
Hello, who put the video together. And this is my first time watching. So Windstar Star Legend, let's see what we can see.
Well, as you said, Linz, this is our Windstar Star Legend full cruise review.
Yes.
And we're going to start off at the very beginning with Embarkation.
Lovely.
I've been really looking forward to talking about this for a full cruise review since we came off the ship.
Well, actually, when we were getting on the ship.
Well, the embarkation part, which is what we're looking at the moment, was by far the quickest embarkation we've ever had, including going on MSC's Yacht Club.
I totally agree.
Because at that point, MSC Yacht Club had set the bar.
They don't wave at you at MSC Yacht Club. They don't shake your hand at MSC Yacht Club.
Well, you did get a hug.
Not at this point.
You did. It was shortly afterwards.
No, I didn't get a hug here.
Or later.
I got a hug when I got back on.
Or was it a different
Not when
day?
I got off.
No, that's us getting on there. You're getting
Yeah, but then I
confused.
got off again.
But not the same day. That was That was.
I
the
feel we're
following day.
analysing me getting off far too much here.
Just coming back to the embarkation, it was effortless when it came through the embarkation part.
Yes.
We were escorted up to his room, and within 16 minutes of us arriving to the pier,
Yeah,
you had a drink in your hand.
I'm loving that.
Which, for you, that ticks all the
So
boxes.
many boxes.
So we'll give it 10 out of 10 because it can't get better. Before we move on, though, would you like to invite people to subscribe?
I would love you to subscribe. If you like videos where you see a lady drinking and eating, then this is the channel for you.
And you can see even more of those eating and drinking things on our social media. Or if you want to see even more, consider joining our channel membership.
But not even more.
Not even more.
That would be a different
That's a different channel.
altogether.
Accommodation.
Yes.
Now, it's worth me pointing out that we have done in-depth reviews on the cabin, which is an ocean view suite, on the food and on the drinks. So if you want a little bit more than what we're showing in here,
Yes.
take a look at those because they go into it in a lot of detail.
Yeah.
The cabin, though, what were your overall impressions?
Loved the bathroom. I loved the mat. I
Your
loved the
little furry mat.
L'Occitane. I loved it because I didn't have to take it with me. And when you're flying Ryanair, that's really important.
It was, because
at that
every
mat.
ounce counts.
You don't see a rug like that every day.
You don't. And whilst the bed, we talk about this in the review, that the bed was a little bit hard. We have had a few people since then comment that you can get mattress toppers if you
Brilliant.
ask for them.
Good, do that.
I think it should be advertised more.
Yes, me too.
And it needs to be readily
Yeah.
available. But that was our only criticism because
Yes.
even having things like the hand sanitizer in there, a fully stocked minibar,
Yes, I loved that.
an array of glasses,
Loved that.
which, to be fair, we didn't really take much advantage of the glasses.
I'm doing it with my glass now.
No, it's too late now. The opportunity went by.
Also, that bear, you had to buy that bear.
We did.
It wasn't a
when
free
we first
bear.
did the tour, we thought it were free.
No.
But it was $30.
No.
So the bear stayed there. Winston stayed on
Got
the bed
my own bear,
afterwards.
thank you.
Thank you. It was the first time that we'd not had a balcony, but we didn't struggle with it.
No.
We give it 8 out of 10. Wasn't perfect,
No.
but I think the mattress topper would have given it a 9.
And if it had a balcony, it would
That'd
have...
have been a 10.
Well, I would have given it an 11.
Next up, food and dining.
Oh, my absolute... Oh, no, there's no drinks. It's my semi-favourite.
I'm not trying to just promote our own stuff, but if you've not watched the food and dining review that we did, go watch it because we go into a lot of depth on it, and it is by far the best food we've ever had on any cruise ship.
Or, if you want something different, try visit with us, Rich and Helen's. We've got a great food review. That's
They
what
have.
got us in
So
the mood
if you've
for
watched
this.
ours twice, then go watch Rich and Helen's as well. The food on there was sensational.
Yes.
Because there's no speciality dining as such where you pay an upcharge.
No.
There are a couple of restaurants, Quadro 44 and Candles, where you need to make a booking in them.
Yes, and you do that as part of your embarkation process. So don't worry that you think, oh, I've not been able to book before I've got on.
No.
Or where do I do it?
And
You
if
do
you-
it before you get on the ship.
And if you want to try and get an extra reservation in there, because if they've got the space, they will let you go in as many
Yes.
times as you want. Then just either go to the reception, guest services, or you can ring up on your phone.
I mean, this food was incredible, and it was very themed to where we were.
Yeah,
which I loved.
absolutely. And the thing was, it didn't matter where we ate the food, whether we were in what's classed as the main dining room. But bear in mind, there were 208 guests on here, so
Yeah.
there were never 200 people
that
in the main
souffle.
dining room.
That cheese souffle
It's
was,
one of your favourite starters ever, isn't it?
it was divine. Oh, and see,
This is the main dining room that we're in here. And the main dining room food in here, honestly, was far better than we've had in a lot of speciality dining venues.
You know what? I'm going to agree.
They had fantastic
Oh,
things like
this was
the galley
amazing.
market on one of the days,
Yeah.
which you go into the actual galley, into the kitchens,
Mm-hmm.
and they had so many different food stations set up in there. Everything about it was exceptional.
There was no au poivre sauce.
But I guarantee if we'd have asked them for it, they would have made you it.
But I'm British, and I'm not going to ask for anything too saucy in public. That's not on the menu.
I think that level of sauciness is acceptable in public. I think you'll get away with asking for an au poivre sauce.
Is that in the Urban
everything-
Dictionary? Is that?
It may well
Oh
be.
no!
But even things like the barbecue on the top deck, we do know that other cruise lines do a barbecue or an open deck sort of food event.
Look at them sausages.
It was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Everything was perfectly cooked. It wasn't overcooked.
Yeah.
There were no sort of...
Finger licking perfection.
yeah, 10 out of 10.
Oh, I am finger licking.
Bar and drinks.
Oh, hello.
Now, you're a big fan of a bar and a drink.
I'm not Sue Ellen Ewing, but I'm getting there.
This was our very first stop, which is up at the Star Grill bar.
And they gave me nuts. And they gave me drinks.
And entertainment.
And entertainment. And I've been on 16 minutes. Love it.
And the entertainment wasn't just there on embarkation day.
Look
They
at
were
that.
there most lunchtimes.
Look at that for breakfast as well.
Well, there were a range of breakfast cocktails.
There were a range of lunchtime cocktails.
Now, we got the all-inclusive package,
Yes.
which included the alcoholic drinks,
Mm-hmm.
the Wi-Fi, and the gratuities.
Look at me there, look. And there's none of this celebrity, oh, you can't have your hot cocktail in the hot tub. I mean, could I not get any bigger headphones?
Well, they're mine. You just took them off.
I did take them off you, that's true.
They became yours. The bar staff, like the rest of the staff on, and we're going to sort of cover service a little bit later on in this. The bar staff were phenomenal in that they got to know your drinks very, very quickly.
Yes.
Everyone knew your name. I still don't know what magic they used to remember everyone's name that quickly. 'Cause it wasn't like halfway through the cruise they remembered us.
No.
It was by the afternoon of the first day.
Yeah, it was so weird.
And you've not got like the princess
God,
medallions
I love that.
where people can figure you out.
I love that drink.
Devil's Margarita.
Oh, yes.
A margarita with a red wine topping.
Amazing.
You did have more than one of those.
I had quite a few drinks,
Each
actually.
day.
They were making it as I walked in.
They
I
were,
mean,
yeah.
that is incredible.
Well, I think it was by the third day they were sort of
I
bringing
did,
you one
I mean,
over
I
within
did
a
try
few
other
minutes.
things. I did
You
try
tried
the-
lots of drink. I wanted to show that it's not just alcohol, that there was coffee. I showed all 10 seconds of that. And alcohol with coffee, which is great as well.
That's my favourite coffee.
The main bar that we used was Compass Rose.
Love it.
But you could get alcohol in the lounge and at Star Grill, etc. But the Compass Rose, which
Was
is where we
our
are there,
pre and post dinners drinks.
it was our go-to place, wasn't it? For me, that's now replaced Commodore Club on Cunard as my favourite bar.
Me too.
And we'd give it a perfect
And
10
I
out of
loved
10.
how you could just wave at the band and they'd wave back.
I've given it 10, not just because of the service and the range of the drinks, but just everything.
Now, entertainment, because it's small, people think, oh, well, you're not going to get the big shows.
And you don't.
You don't get the big shows, but what you do get is small, personal, intimate shows, and I think they're better.
This one that we're looking at here is the crew show, and they do it on each one.
Yeah.
And the crew volunteer if they want to do it, and there were different levels of brilliance. Some were absolutely fantastic,
Yeah.
others less so, but equally keen. But it was thoroughly enjoyable. I went on here with a couple of different bits that I was a bit trepidatious at. So one around, would I be a bit bored in terms of lack of entertainment?
What am I doing right now?
I have no idea. And two, I forget my train of thought now.
So I'm so sorry.
It's okay. But going back to entertainment, it was a much more personalised entertainment, even down to things like the Sail Away event, which happened every time we sailed away.
And they played
It's Vangelis's...
Vangelis. And
I forget the song.
I don't know. It was kind of New World Ordery, but I loved it.
As they raise the flags and we sail away. Apparently it's even more impressive on their sailing yachts. Because what they do is, as the big sails come up...
Do they drop them?
No, they raise the sails.
Okay.
And the flag goes up with that. And as the sails raise, that's where the music
Oh,
comes.
mutual sail.
Multiple raising.
Wow.
I know. However, things like the flamenco
I
dancing.
loved this. It was passionate. It was authentic. I had tears in
Was this
my
Palmo?
eyes.
Tears in my eyes. Big strong man.
He
Was this
He
in Palma?
oozed.
I forget where we were, but they came on from local, so they weren't part of the cruise. They weren't on there the whole time. They came on, did the performance, got off.
Yeah.
And they were absolutely phenomenal. But our go-tos were the bands
Yeah.
in there, because they'd interact with you, they'd have a chat with you, and we just absolutely loved it. I've given it an 8.5 out of 10 because you're not going to get Broadway-style productions, but it was so much better than I expected
They
it to
did
be.
Me True by Spandau Ballet.
Well, they asked if you had any requests. I asked for Dolly Parton. I gave him a challenge.
Wait, no, I wouldn't. I'll just say that's you. Whereas I asked for True by Spandau Ballet. And
They did Islands in the Stream for me.
They did Islands in the Stream for you.
Relaxing on board.
I did a lot of this.
And it's a lot easier when people are bringing you mimosas in the hot tub.
I mean,
It's an easy cruise ship to relax on, isn't it?
it's so easy. Oh, look. There we go. There's the...
You've got
That was like bath water, that pool.
It was so warm, wasn't it?
Yes.
Bathwater in that it was warm, not mucky and full of bubbles.
I don't know what you're doing in the bath. To have a mucky bath.
Well, a lot of people have been in it, is what I mean.
No, there wasn't. I think I only ever saw me and you go in that
We
pool.
never saw anyone else in there. They are open till quite late, so if you wanted to go in at night, you can do, and they're all really heated. The sort of main pool deck area there, and then there's a hot tub right at the very front as well, which you'll see a little bit later on.
That's raining. We didn't do that.
However, obviously, it's not sunny all the time,
No.
and therefore you might want to have a look at some indoor things.
Oh, look at you with your clever edits.
I won't go in that far, but the spa sort of area is included. It's free.
It is free. And we got toasty now when we got cold walking out because
We did,
Yeah.
because we still went in the hot tub when it were bouncing down, and then came down and went in here.
we did. I put a towel on my head.
So you've got those nice
Oh,
warm
cards.
beds. Well, I was about to say you got the warm beds in the steam room and the sauna, but if you don't fancy that, there's the other lounge areas where there's things like jigsaw puzzles and board games, or in our particular ones, cards.
I love cards.
You were quite good at cards, but specifically when you were dealing, so I don't know what that means.
I love cards. In fact, I'm going to
You
the
often
casino.
make your own
soon.
rules up.
No, I don't. Look at it. What have I got here?
3 9s. Look at your smug face.
I love cards. I'm going to the casino soon.
Good.
I've got a new handbag to celebrate.
Fantastic.
You're not coming.
I'm not. That's on an event for your work, isn't it? This was the other hot tub that I was referring to, right at the very front of the ship.
This
So
was my hot tub.
You can have your Jack and Rose moment stood at the front of the
You
ship.
can.
And it's absolutely gorgeous. Incredibly easy to relax on this ship, far more than bigger ships,
Yeah.
because it's so quiet. And we've given it a 10 out of 10.
Yes.
And as you can see, when we're down here, and you saw earlier on, most of the time we were the only ones sort of lounging about.
Yeah.
Service to the crew.
I'm getting a handshake again.
You are.
They do take care of you on Windstar. Oh my goodness.
I touched on it earlier in terms of how quickly they get to know your name.
They get to know that-
and your likes
Yeah.
in terms of food and drink. But we never saw anyone being anything less than really friendly and really professional.
Yeah.
If you're on a cruise ship for long enough, at some point you see someone looking a bit miserable.
Yeah.
Because it's still work for them.
Yeah.
They were utterly fantastic.
That's hot chocolate with
Hot chocolate with some cinnamon fireball in it.
Yes.
But everywhere about when we were coming out of the galley market, they saw that the plate was a bit overstacked because we didn't
You
judge
went-
exactly
you went
how
a bit
many
mad.
stations there
Yeah.
were. So they came and took the plate and helped us carry it. As soon as you walk into the restaurant, they're waving at you and really welcoming you on board. And it was the same everywhere when we got back on here. This is by far the best welcome I've ever had anywhere.
Well, we had
Not
a
just
drink.
on a cruise ship.
We had a drink. I had a hug. I got a whole wave. I got a hot towel. I got more drinks.
And I promise you, they weren't doing that just because I were filming it.
No, they were doing
They
that to
were doing
everybody.
it to everyone that came past. And having the little lounge area when you got on.
with the water station,
Yeah.
hydration station.
Yeah, you had hot towels as you got on, and they handed you one.
I'm
if
sure
you
they have a
wanted one.
cold one when it's hot.
I'm positive that they do. But just everything about it was fantastic to the point which, and I have to confess, I don't always go to these on other cruise lines.
No.
When they had the meet the crew towards the end of the cruise line, at the end of the cruise rather, I felt that we had to go to it.
We did have to go to it because they were wonderful. You're like, oh my goodness, when you're costing it up and you see the difference in pricing depending on what type of room you've got, and you think, what am I getting for my money there? Amazing. Oh, that's an asterisk.
I've given it. It's not an asterisk. That's meant to be a star. I've given
Okay,
it a
that's
10 star.
That's an asterisk, darling.
Okay, well, it's meant to be a star. Pretend it's a star.
Okay.
Disembarkation, the bit
Yes.
that nobody likes because it means your cruise is over, and the 9 days flew by. But getting off the ship
Yeah.
was as easy as getting on it. And as you can see, if you were
We
getting out a little bit earlier,
yeah.
because we sort of
Disembarked.
because we had an early flight.
Yeah.
They carried our bags off. It were absolutely seamless and absolutely perfect.
Is this our highest scoring cruise ever?
To this point, yes, but I don't want to spoil this end bit.
Oh, I am so sorry. Oh, so I got to really nearly drive the ship.
You did, because we went in the bridge. And when you say nearly, they didn't consider it for a split second,
'cause
but
I was
you
hammered.
considered it because you'd had a few of those devil's margaritas. And you're like, I'm here to drive
Oh,
the
look,
ship.
that's a good hand, darling.
It is. You would have thought, I was feeling quite confident at this point. You were looking smug, though, which says an awful lot about what's about to follow, which sums it up, a near perfect hand for a pretty much perfect cruise. That's me going, how on earth did you do that?
I love cards. What can I say? And cards love me.
We were concerned before we came on this whether a small ship would be for us, whether something with up to 300 passengers on would just be too small, whether the entertainment wouldn't be right, what it would be like for things like excursions, which is what I'm showing a little bit of here. And it just blew us away. Even things like we were getting off and it were raining, so they handed us a massive umbrella each.
Yeah.
I know other cruise lines do this,
Yeah.
but this for us
You
was,
felt like it was a friend giving you the umbrella.
yeah, everything about it felt special from the second that we got off on the ship, when we pulled up for embarkation and they put the luggage tags on,
Yeah.
through to getting off the ship and leaving.
That was
Everything in between was amazing.
I love a big pastry.
You do, especially if it's sunny. But we
I
thoroughly...
love a train.
And we went on this one. This was the excursion at Solaire.
This was in Palma, you're right.
On Palma. And it was a limited number excursion.
Yeah.
And it was great value for money.
Yeah.
And really, really interesting.
I couldn't have there was some anchovies, so things in the dishes around it I didn't have because I don't like the thought of cross-contamination, but I loved the cruise. Look at it compared to that big, is that a
That's
princess?
Majestic Princess, I think it is.
Well,
behind
she's a
it.
small princess.
Yeah, it's not the biggest of the princess ships. But everything about this cruise we've thoroughly enjoyed. Yes, we would have liked the mattress topper. But other than that, we've given it a 9.5 out of 10. And if I'm being honest, I could have easily given it a 10 out of 10. But given that I'd marked down a little bit for the suite and marked down a little bit for the entertainment, I felt that had to be there.
You'd mark down the entertainment.
Only
Oh,
a little bit.
cheers, darling. Thank you for watching. Oh, and have a lovely day.